Hello, and thank you for joining me today on the Private Investigator Experience podcast. I'm your host, Bill Little. On this channel, we talk about the cases and life of a private investigator, and then I look at national and international issues around crime, terrorism, misinformation, race discrimination, anti-Semitism from all over the world. And I'm looking at that from my 50 years of investigative experience in military, law enforcement, intelligence service, and global security. I own West Coast Detectives International, a 103-year-old global security firm, and then I apply a touch of my biblical worldview to find solutions for our clients. Before we jump into this critical report today, would you help me by liking, sharing, subscribing? You know the drill. Hit that notification bell for future posts. Let's get this message out to more people so more can be mobilized to stand up and step out of the crowd. Thank you. Over the last couple of weeks, I posted some concerns that I've had with issues around Hamas and the Israel ceasefires, the Iranian connection, and the negotiations with that, the with Hamas and a two-state solution, and then Ukraine and the Russian ceasefire. My concerns are raised by my over 50 years on the ground in the Middle East, started in the middle 70s. And I've learned some things about how the mindset of the people are. I've worked with them. I've lived there. I've been involved and got to know people from all backgrounds and developed very personal and close friends. And not all people in the Middle East by any means are radical terrorists. And there are a lot of people just like you and me that want peace, the ability to raise their families in safety and security and have a better life for them. In a recent open letter to President Trump, I expressed my concern of being up against the Iranians with their first agenda being religious. It's not political. It's not physical. It's not about land or power. But the religious view is that their God is going to only control the world and they will be the directors or, shall we say, dictators. They believe, based on their religion and what their God has supposedly told them, they can lie, deceive, make all kinds of promises, and they have no intention of keeping them because their God tells them they can. The rules are off when it's making their God known, and for anyone they call infidels, they don't believe like they do. Another concern that I've raised is that Steve Witkoff, which is obviously an amazing, very smart guy, but him being stretched too thin with all the things the president has in him. He's been in these three major Israel and Hamas, Iran, and then Russia and Ukraine, which each one of those is so critical. But I believe that the most critical is the Israel Hamas and the settlement of the Middle East situation there. And I can assure you right now, and I'm going to back this up, that a two-state solution will not work. What would the answer? Well, the answer would be maybe getting some help, some other really sharp, good people. And then the other thing that I'm concerned about is that every one of these negotiators, and from President Trump on down, need to understand that this situation there is spiritual. It's not physical. It's not political. It's spiritual. And that goes back thousands of years. That's why there's a turmoil in the Middle East around Israel with so many of its neighbors trying to destroy them. And that reeks out to the rest of the world. Look what the October 7th, 2023 murderous, barbaric attack by Hamas and others in Palestinians, that just took us here in a matter of days. It was like it was on cue. Anti-Semitism sprang up across this country. It shocked us all. I never had any idea that it was as deep, as broad, as wide as it was. Now, I understand that President Trump wants peace, as we all do. But sometimes when you're dealing with outright liars who only have your destruction as their desire, sometimes You get down to the end, and the only thing you can do is fight. You fight hard, quick, and be decisive and win, and then go back to being that peace loving nation with this strong military power. You don't want to use it, but if you do, it's going to count and count quickly. Part of what started these thoughts of mine, and then as I put some feelers out, and then as I've listened to President Trump standing firm that Iran cannot have any enrichment capability. Now, a report just came out in the last few days from the International Atomic Energy Agency, and we'll call that the IAEA. And remember, this is a UN group. This is definitely not a pro-American or conservative. And if anything comes out of there, you know that it's probably got some truth to it if they're going to report on things that might be negative to the leftist view or to Iran or any of these. But here's what the report was. Iran, according to the IAEA, has reportedly increased its stockpile of 60% enriched uranium by about half. Now listen to this. Half since February of 2025. They doubled it. Now, isn't that interesting? That was about the time that Trump gave them the ultimatum that you've got 2 months or so, and if negotiations aren't done, we're going to come in and eliminate the problem. Well, so they started talking, trying to stall it out, trying to stretch it out like they've done in the past. At the same time, they were working probably 3 shifts around the clock to create more uranium. And we'll get into that, why the amount of uranium they have and what they're doing belies that they say, oh, it's only for commercial use or energy or those kind of things. There's something that tears that whole theory apart. This stockpile, if further enriched to weapons grade levels, the experts say that there's enough there for about 10 nuclear bombs. Now, on that IAEA report, they've stated that they cannot verify that Iran's nuclear program is for peaceful purposes. And we'll look at that in a minute. Of course, Iran's response is they've dismissed the IAEA report, claiming, oh, the agency is politically motivated. And they've said again, we're reiterating it, oh, we don't want atomic weapons. Here's something to think about. For a country that wants only peaceful nuclear energy or other commercial uses, the only enrichment they need is 3.5%. 3.5%. Not 60, not 70, 80. And the experts say the only reason that any country would want to go beyond that 3.5% is because they're after weapons grade material, and that's what their interest is. So no matter what Iran says, they belie all of that. It makes it of no effect. Now, they also found that a separate report, it details Iran's non-compliance with the investigation into its undeclared nuclear material. Now, the IAEA concluded that 3 locations and possibly some others were part of an undeclared structured nuclear program carried out by Iran back in the 2000s and going forward. And some activities were used undeclared nuclear material. Now, the board has requested a comprehensive report on Iran. It's a 35-member board, and they requested this committee to come up with this report that just came out the last few days. And it also describes secret programs that they've had and current for cooperation. They're not allowing any access. And supposedly, they've said in talks that's going on now, oh, you will allow complete inspections everywhere. But the only trouble is they will have hidden some hidden mountain caves that they're producing in if anybody's dumb enough to fall for that and doing a deal which allows them to remain any type of enrichment. The board has asked the committee to come back with recommendations about further resolutions of sanctions and so forth against Iran. Now, a report from Vienna, May the 31st, just a few days ago, Iran carried out secret nuclear activities with material not declared to the UN nuclear watchdogs at 3 locations. The watchdogs said in a wide-ranging report, confidentially to the member states. The findings in the Comprehensive International Atomic Energy Report, requested by the agency's 35-member Board of Governors in November, paved the way for a push by the United States, Britain, France, and Germany for the board to declare Iran in violation and then to come up with some further sanctions on them. This report again shows what the real intention is. And any suggestions that they would like to retain any kind of enrichment in the country is a deal killer, non-start. Ain't going to happen. But my years on experience on the ground in the Middle East and the Gulf, I believe that the only solution to stop Iran is to wipe out their production facilities and every support system they have to develop not only nuclear but ballistic missiles and support for time is short. And the wisdom of Solomon, from the Bible, said he's the world's wisest man, is to discern and make the right decisions. Now, one issue that keeps coming up, I keep hearing about this, people talk about it, people ask me about it, this two-state solution. And people say, oh, this only started in 1948. Israel was on Palestinian land, and the UN gave some land to Israel, a small little piece, but the Arabs wanted all their land. And the problem was, in the United Nations agreement, they gave the Palestinians actually more land. They gave also Jordan was given by the UN, and it wasn't originally part of a state, but it was separated out when things were divided up. But the real issue is this did not start in 1948. They didn't start in 2000, in the 19th century, the 18th century. We've got to go back almost 4,000 years to find what the solution and the cause of this situation was. Who was the first to have control of Jerusalem and the land of Israel? Now, in the Old Testament, Moses was given a covenant by God in giving to him and his descendants land. It's laid out in detail. And it's a whole lot more than the little strip of land they have now. It included Gaza and Jordan and Syria and Lebanon and up into Iraq. It was a huge area, the promised land that God gave to them. Now, let's go back almost 4,000 years, and I want to read to you what God has to say about this land from 2 Chronicles 6. I'm going to start in verse 5. Now, don't take issue with me. This is not me making this up. I'm just reporting what God said. And I don't know about you, but when I tried to go against God, it didn't work out well for me. So here's what God says about this land. Verse 5, 2 Chronicles 6. Since the day I brought my people Israel out of the land of Egypt, I had not chosen a city to build a temple in among any of the tribes of Israel, so that my name would be there. And I have not chosen a man to be a ruler over my people, Israel. Verse 6. But now I have chosen Jerusalem. Jerusalem. So that my name will be there. And I have chosen David to be over my people Israel. Now it was in the heart of my father David, Solomon's going on here, to build a temple for the name of the Lord God of Israel. However, the Lord said to my father David, since it was your desire to build a temple for my name, you have done well to have this desire. Yet you are not the one to build it, but your son Solomon will build it. So what did God say? I have chosen Jerusalem so that my name will be there, and that I have chosen David to be over my people Israel. The Israelites have had Jerusalem as their capital for almost 4,000 years. They were there first. I posted some posts talking about where this all started with Isaac and Ishmael and Jacob and Esau and all, which goes way back there. But this is very clear of what God's intention was. So I'm asking you to think about this. Send me your comments and suggestions and ideas. Know what you think. I'd be love to hear from you. We're on any of the platforms, and you can email me at pi777 at gmail.com. That's three sevens. And if you have a question about could a PI help me, with a problem I have in my family or business or whatever you find yourself in, send me the information. The pi777 at gmail.com. I'll let you know if a private eye could help you and how it might work. So until next time, be safe. May God bless you, your family, and may God bless America. Will you step out of the crowd with me and stand for righteousness? Be an next.